Strike drones have struck the Ryazan oil refinery for the third time in 2025. The Astra Resource reports on the strike on the refinery, citing local residents. The attack on the enterprise took place at night on February 24, 2025 at around 3 a.m., when the first reports of an explosion at the oil refinery began to appear. The first resource to report on the attack was Baza, which wrote that locals had reported hearing the sounds of air defense, after which smoke had begun to rise and a fire had broken out in the area of the refinery. Later, the governor of the Ryazan region, Pavel Malkov, confirmed that air defense systems had shot down 2 drones, the wreckage of which had fallen on the territory of the enterprise, having caused a fire. The Defense Ministry's air defense forces shot down 2 UAVs over the territory of the Ryazan region. The wreckage caused a fire on the territory of one of the enterprises. According to preliminary information, there were no casualties and material damage is being assessed. Emergency services are working at the scene, he wrote on Telegram. Despite the governor's assertions, the American firm's service, which monitors the globe to detect hotspots and long-lasting fires, recorded the beginning of a critical temperature increase at the refinery at 1:52 a.m. on February 24th. It is worth noting that this oil refinery was already attacked on January 23rd and 26th, 2025, and this attack was the third in such a short period of time. Later, Astra reported that as a result of the attack on the refinery on January 26th, the primary oil processing unit had caught fire, which had led to the suspension of the plant's operation. The fire broke out at the AVT4 unit, which produces distillates of gasoline, kerosene, diesel fuel, and fuel oil from oil. In addition, other equipment of the enterprise was damaged. In particular, the impurities and moisture purification units, as well as the VGO unit, which converts vacuum gas oil into high-quality gas oil. The sulfur desulfurization unit was also damaged. The AVT4 primary oil processing unit was previously damaged during an attack on the enterprise on March 13, 2024. After that, its operation was suspended for 2 weeks and then restored to only 60% of its capacity. The Ryazan oil refinery is controlled by Rosneft and has a declared refining capacity of up to 17 million tons per year. This makes it one of the largest refineries in Russia. It is located more than 450 kilometers from the Ukrainian border. The company is the main supplier of motor fuel for the regions around the Russian capital. Russian artillery being destroyed in the east. 2 D-20 and 2 D-30 guns were put out of use. These are very old howitzers used even in World War II. Looks like the Russians got a cutting-edge combat tech upgrade from Shoigu. Now Russian army personnel will roll out to storm Ukrainian positions on hoverboards. Apparently, donkeys didn't prove too effective in combat conditions.
Он говорит, это когда, если мало отпускаешь колодки, типа, понял? Нагревается.
Когда не на чем ездить.
FPV drone pilots of the 3rd Separate Assault Brigade finish off abandoned Russian armor in the Kharkiv region. On the modern battlefield, Ukrainian drones are reshaping the way wars are fought. Once symbols of brute force, Russian armor and artillery now find themselves exposed and vulnerable, struggling to counter the relentless threat from above. Precision strikes from inexpensive, highly maneuverable drones have turned tanks and artillery pieces into prime targets, often before they can even engage in combat. Russian defenses have struggled to adapt. Traditional countermeasures like electronic warfare and air defenses have proven inconsistent against the sheer number and agility of Ukrainian drones. FPV drones, kamikaze UAVs, and reconnaissance drones work in coordination, identifying, targeting, and neutralizing high-value assets with unprecedented efficiency. The war could end in 2025 as Russia needs a pause due to lack of forces and high financial costs, GOR Chief Budanov said. I have seen their strategic planning until 2045. If it does not get out of the conflict by 2026, then in the coming years it will lose its chances of becoming a superpower, he added. Chief of Ukraine's main intelligence directorate, Kyrylo Budanov, stated that there is no systemic threat of Starlink being blocked for Ukraine. On the contrary, over the past week and a half, Gray Starlink devices used by Russians in combat zones have been disconnected, sometimes leaving entire units without communication. The U.S. administration pushing the Russian narrative. How surprising. Trump's special envoy Witkoff. The war, no matter who started it, must end. It shouldn't have happened. It was provoked. This doesn't necessarily mean the Russians provoked it. The Goryushko Project, analyzing posts by relatives of the Russian soldiers on social media and obituaries in the media, confirmed the deaths of 100,000 Russian soldiers as of February 24, 2025. The project announced this on its Telegram channel. Since the beginning of the Russian invasion, volunteers of the Goryushko Project have been tracking data on the deaths of Russian soldiers, systematizing reports from Russian officials and the media. They also collect reports from relatives and colleagues of the victims with photos of the graves. The volunteers explained they are tracking only active servicemen of the Russian troops who died in the occupied territories of Ukraine. They are also taking into account servicemen who died from the actions of the Ukrainian Defense Forces on the territory of the Russian Federation, and members of the Wagner PMC with a Russian passport. The database does not include Ukrainian citizens mobilized in the Russian-occupied territories of Ukraine, soldiers of the 1st Donetsk Army Corps and the 2nd Luhansk Army Corps. Anyone who died not on the front line or due to injuries in the rear, as well as foreign mercenaries, are not included to the project's list. The 100,000th post was dedicated to Alexei Burkov, the Russian from the village of Sosnovskoye, Kirov Oblast, who died in mid-December 2024. However, the actual losses of the Russian army in the Russian-Ukrainian war are much higher, as not all reports of Russian military deaths are published in open sources. For example, in July 2024, journalists from Mediasona, the BBC Russian service, and a team of volunteers conducted a study comparing the number of known obituaries and data from the Register of Inheritance cases, which was used to create methods for estimating the actual number of deaths. As of February 21, 2025, journalists managed to find 95,026 obituaries of Russian citizens who died in the war. However, using the developed methodology, the publications estimate the true loss of life in the range of 146 to 221,000. In addition, according to their estimates, 21,000 to 23,500 members of the military units of the so-called Donetsk People's Republic and Luhansk People's Republic were killed. The initiative of the Coordination Headquarters for the Treatment of Prisoners of War. I Want to Find has received more than 60,000 requests for missing Russian soldiers who fought against Ukraine as of early February 2025. Of these, more than 8,500 applications were received in January 2025, compared to 22% fewer in December 2024. As the Coordination Headquarters points out, this number does not include the dead occupiers and, according to their estimates, is about 2 to 3 times less than the total number of missing Russian soldiers. According to Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, as of early February, Russia had lost about 350,000 soldiers killed.
Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. Also, if you want to support Warthog Defense, please become our member and get early access to new videos, exclusive members-only videos, and become administrator in comment section. The membership link is in the description.
Rescues every day. We had a guy last week, it's 6 rescues in 6 days. You know, he's doing the job every day.